Hey, good morning, guys. It's me, Warren, again, Buildings from the Ground Up. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Just remember, as always, if you like what you hear, you like what you see, just be sure to subscribe, to like to this channel, Buildings from the Ground Up. So today, I wanted to speak to you about buildings and building testing. So, as a director, a manager, facilities manager, a maintenance supervisor, you're going to be responsible for a lot of testing in your building. So, in the last episode, we spoke about Johnson controls and your fire alarm panel and all the testing that is required to maintain your fire alarm panel effectively and efficiently. I shared with you a frequency chart put out by the Office of Fire Prevention and Control of all the testing that is done and the frequency of those tests. That's good information for you to know so you won't rely solely on the contractor or the vendor's schedule, but you can actually develop your own schedule and control your cost. So I just wanted to speak to you briefly about other testing that's involved in buildings. For example, you have to have your elevator tested. You should have a weekly recall test on your elevator. You should have an annual load test on your elevator. You should have a 5-year full load test on your elevator. There's generator testing. There's weekly testing on your generator. There's yearly testing also on your generator as well. There's a full load test that's required on your generator every few years. In addition to your weekly testing, the new generators these days will actually run their own test. Back in the old days, like in my building when I was with the state, for example, we had to manually run tests every year. So you have your elevator testing, your generator testing. You're going to have, if you have fuel tanks in your building, you're going to have your underground storage tank testing that's done. You're going to have your boiler inspections every few years, every other year, I believe it is. In this region, Hartford Steam Boiler is a big contractor and vendor that works for a lot of the insurance companies who actually will insist and insist on you having that test. So I believe it's outside of the state's requirement, but it is your insurance vendor's requirement. Also, the Office of Fire Prevention and Control, if you're in like a municipal building or a state building, will be looking to perform annual tests. And also your insurance provider will be performing their own inspection and walkthroughs probably every 2 years. But the New York State Education Department, if you run director of school district, you are required to have annual fire testing done as well. So, with that being said, the takeaway lesson from today is that you should be prepared for that test, especially the annual fire testing that is required. So, based on my experience, the biggest issue that we had when I was with the state was that most of the tenants in the buildings, which were different agencies, would just take one extension cord, plug it into another, and into a computer or another device. That's not allowed. That's called piggybacking. What you need to do is get yourself a ground fault circuit interrupter that has like an 18 or 20-foot cord. Plug that in straight to that device. That's how we resolve those issues or those violations with the Office of Fire Prevention and Control. It was a very common thing, especially with the bigger agencies, and there's not a lot of room and there's not a lot of plugs for their staff. So they love to just take one long extension cord, plug it into another extension cord, maybe a third extension cord, and into a computer, a device, a coffee maker, a microwave. That's definitely not allowed. I'll share a photo and a link to a ground fault circuit interrupter that has at least an 18-foot cord that will resolve that issue. You plug it into the wall and into your device, or maybe several devices. Okay. Now here with the school district, the biggest problem that we have is the egress windows were being blocked by the teachers. You know, the teachers have books, they have storage, they have artwork, all kind of things. But the egress window was blocked, and that was a big issue that we were having. Several of the head custodians was limited on storage space, so in their basements they had their exit doors blocked with storage, so that was another big issue. Also, the doors being chopped open was a huge issue, and of course, you know, the teachers or whoever was in that classroom or in that office would take a wooden block or plastic block, chuck open that door for airflow, whatever issue that they might be having in that space. But that's something that has to be addressed. So just make sure you're prepared. Your inspections are coming. This is just a short list of inspections that you will be required to have in your facilities and in your buildings every year. It is essential, especially with the egress windows and your doors being blocked, that you look for that. Perform a pre-inspection walkthrough of your facility. That will help you. If you know what to look for, if your staff knows what to look for, then you will do well. But testing will be an important part of what you do, and it plays a critically important role in the life, health, and safety of your tenants, right? So just pay attention to that and be prepared. And there's nothing like being prepared. Let me repeat myself. So again, the name is Warren, Buildings from the Ground Up, right? Get that 18-foot ground fault circuit interrupter, plug that appliance directly into that ground fault and into the wall. No piggybacking of appliances, no blocking egress windows, no blocking exit doors, and you will do well. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe. Email me if you have any questions. I'm also available for consultations, and I'm working towards establishing that so I could hold classes, whatever your staff, whatever training your staff might need, I'm available for you. So anyway, take care of yourself. Warren, Buildings from the Ground Up. Thank you.